Okay, good morning. Chapter 8, Exodus. Been studying life of Moses. Okay? This chapter, a lot of things happen, so I don't know if we'll finish, but maybe we'll just postpone, finish next week. But we'll try. So, in verse 1 says, "And the Lord spake to Moses," said, "Go to Pharaoh and say to him, Thus saith the Lord, Let my people go, that they may serve me." Verse 2 says, "And if thou refuse to let them go, behold, I will all the borders with frogs." Frogs. Okay, so frog. Okay, so any of you like frogs? You like to pick them up and pet them? Kiss them? Kiss the frog? Maybe become a prince for you, sweetheart? No, that's a false story. But you don't like? Yeah, you eat before?
No.
Taste?
Yeah.
Yeah. Frog legs, they taste same as chicken. Yeah, butter. Ooh, it's good. But a long time. I'm not eating myself, but they taste the same as chicken. Become sick? Become sick? So first time she ate, she didn't know they were frogs, but she said, taste same as chicken. And then after they told her, she. Okay. So this for the video people, they were telling about a man from France. His name Laurent. PRC. He was deaf. He moved to America to establish the first deaf college, Gallaudet.
School.
Oh, school. And then later became Gallaudet.
He was working with Gallaudet.
He was
Thomas.
working
With the father.
Gallaudet.
The father named Gallaudet.
That's interesting. But that man, he loved to eat frog legs. Said so. Okay. So, verse 3 says, and now, God's telling Moses what to tell the Pharaoh. So he says, verse 3 says, "And the river shall bring forth frogs, which shall go up into thy houses, and into thy bedrooms, and on thy bed, and in the house of thy servants, and on the people,
And into thine ovens.
into thy ovens, and into thy bread making places." Okay? So, God's warning the Pharaoh, if you don't let the Jewish people free, I'm going to send many frogs into your life, into your land. Verse 4, it says, "And the frogs will come on both thee and on thy people, and on all your servants." Okay, so God's warning is going to fill the land with frogs, right? Verse 5, and the Lord spake to Moses, tell Aaron, his brother, to stretch forth thy hand with the rod over the streams and rivers and over the ponds, and cause the frogs to come up on the land of Egypt. Verse 6, and Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt. Okay? So, imagine in this room, full of frogs on the ground. Get them out of the way. You can't walk because it's full. You want to sit? You gotta. And to sit, and maybe they're gonna jump on you. I don't know. But just imagine the land full of frogs. Verse 7 says, and the magicians did so with their magic and brought up the frogs on the land of Egypt. Okay, before, remember, the Pharaoh had his group of servants and magicians, and before Aaron had his rod and he threw it down and became a serpent. But the Pharaoh himself had his servants. They copied. They had rod, threw it down, became serpents also, right? So Aaron's power was from God. The king's servants, maybe from the devil. Okay? But Aaron's serpent ate up all the others, remember? Okay, so here now they copied Aaron. Okay? They called up the frogs also. Verse 8, and then the Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron and said, entreat the Lord that he will take away the frogs from me and from my people, and let the people, I will let the people go, that they may do sacrifice to the Lord. Okay. Okay, so the Pharaoh said, okay, I will let the Jewish people free. Okay, please ask your God to stop all the frogs and remove them. Verse 9 says, and Moses told the Pharaoh, glory over me when I shall ask for thee and for thy servants, for thy people, to destroy the frogs from thee and thy houses, that they will stay only in the river. Okay? Most frogs are in the water, but sometimes others they're not. We have some small, they're named tree frogs. Sometimes they're small, a little big. They're on the walls of the house, and they're always near the door, or the door, right? So you arrive home, and you go in, and they're stuck at, they try to jump in the house with you. My wife hates them. Her sister scared. Just a little bitty frog, the little ones, they're scared. But anyway. In verse 10, and he said, tomorrow. And he said, be it according to thy word, that thou mayest know that there is none other the same as our God. Verse 11 says, and the frogs shall depart from thee, from thy houses, from thy servants, from thy people, and they shall stay in the river only. Verse 12, and Moses and Aaron went out from the Pharaoh, and Moses cried to the Lord because of the frogs which he had brought against the Pharaoh. In verse 13, and the Lord did according to the words of Moses, and the frogs died out of the houses, out of the villages, and out of the fields. In verse 14 says, and they gathered them together on heaps, and the land bad. Stank. It means it smells bad. Okay, imagine this room full of frogs and they all died. And Steve gets a rake, rakes pile in here for 1 week. Bad, right? Imagine a full country. A country full of dead frogs. Any place you'd walk or ride, whatever, bad, right? Verse 15 says, but when Pharaoh saw there was respite, it means that the frogs were gone, he hardened his heart and did not keep his promise as the Lord said he would. Remember, before, a few times, God told Moses that Pharaoh will refuse to allow you to go. But God told Moses, you go. Go, go, go. Moses, God told him the Pharaoh will refuse you, but it didn't matter. God told him, go, go, go. And Moses obeyed God. And he went. And he went. And he went, knowing the Pharaoh would refuse. Okay, so verse 16 says, and the Lord said to Moses, tell Aaron, his brother, to stretch out his rod and touch the dust of the land, that it may become lice throughout all the land of Egypt. You know what lice?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of times in the hair, real small, hard to see, hard to kill. They get in the hair of kids and people. You need special shampoo. For me, they can't hide, right? They're stuck. They can't hide and no, nothing. Sorry, lies. Too bad. But it itches. It itches bad, and it can go on other family members, right? Maybe you have a few kids sleeping together in the same bed. It'll crawl over into the other kid and the other kid. So it's messed up, it's bad, it's hard to kill. So, here it says, yeah, the best way, well, I don't know about girls, but you see boys with shades same as me, so they can't hide and they can kill them. So it says, all the dust of the land became lice. That means a lot, right? Verse 17 says, and they did so. For Aaron stretched out his hand with the rod, touched the dust of the earth, and it became lice in man and in beast. All the dust of the land became lice throughout all the land of Egypt. Verse 18 says, okay, right here. Verse 18 says, and the magicians did so with their enchantments to bring forth lice. They tried, but they couldn't. They couldn't copy Aaron. So the people in the country of Egypt were stuck with lice in their hair, the people, and the animals. Verse 19 says, and then the magicians said to Pharaoh, this is the finger of God. Amen. This is from the power of God. And Pharaoh's heart was hard, and he did not hearken to them as the Lord told Moses before, right? So the Pharaoh again refused no. Verse 20 says, and the Lord said to Moses, rise up early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh, for he will come to the water, and you tell him, thus saith the Lord, let my people go, that they may serve me. 21. If thou wilt not let the people go, behold, I will send swarms of flies on thee, on thy servants, on thy people, and into thy houses, and the houses of the Egyptians shall be full of flies, and also the ground where they are. Wow. So now, one good thing tonight, church gonna have a picnic. but it's inside the building, in the gym, right? Sometimes you have a picnic outside at a park, right? Go to a place, you sit down, hot dogs, your hamburgers, you cook, you have your potato salad, and your chips, and desserts. And you sit down, and flies. Yeah, you need to cover the food, right? To block the flies. They're bother, right? So here, full in the land, full in the houses of the people. Yeah. Flies are dirty. Yeah, they're dirty. They're not clean. So that's why we don't want them on touching our food, right? Okay. 22 says, and I will sever in that day in the land, I will sever that day the land of Goshen. That's the place where most of the Jewish people lived in the Egypt country. They were separated, okay? So God is saying, but I'm going to separate that area in which my people live, that no swarms, flies will touch there. Okay? That you will know I am the Lord in the midst of the earth. Okay? So they tell the Pharaoh, that area there where the slaves live, no flies there, to prove to the Pharaoh that God is almighty power. Okay? 23 says, and I will put a division from my people and thy people. Tomorrow this sign will be. Verse 24 says, and the Lord did so. And there came a great swarm of flies into the house of the Pharaoh, and in his servants' houses, and into all the land of Egypt. And the land was corrupted by reason of the flies. Okay? So, we got frogs, lice, flies. Verse 25. And Pharaoh called for Moses and for Aaron. You want them to come back again? He said, go, sacrifice to your God in the land. Verse 26, and Moses said, it's not meet for us to do so, for we shall sacrifice in the abomination of the Egyptian people to the Lord our God? No. We shall sacrifice before the Egyptian people, before their eyes, and they will want to kill us, or stone us, throw rocks against us. So the Pharaoh said, okay, you can sacrifice to your God in this country, in Egypt, okay? But Moses said, no, we can't sacrifice here. Your people will want to kill us because they don't believe in our God, okay? It will bother them, okay? So Moses said, 27, we will travel 3 days far into the wilderness and sacrifice to the Lord our God as he shall command us. Okay? That was the plan. So maybe we had blood. Then what do we have? Then these?
And
Blood, frogs, lice, flies. Yeah. So 4 different things really bad happened in the country of Egypt. But God's plan, Moses told the Pharaoh from the beginning, the first time he met, allow us to travel 3 days, travel, and there we'll sacrifice and worship our God. Okay, but the Pharaoh said, you can sacrifice here in Egypt, okay? Moses said, no. 3 days travel. All right, so 28, and Pharaoh said, I'll let you go, that you may sacrifice to the Lord your God in the wilderness, but only you shall not really go far away. Okay? Verse 29. And Moses said, behold, I go out from thee, and I will entreat the Lord that the flies will depart from Pharaoh, from his servants, from his people tomorrow. But don't you deceive me again and refuse to let the people go to sacrifice to the Lord. Okay, so the Pharaoh has lied. Frogs, lice, flies, again, he said, okay, I'll let you free. Please stop. Ask your God to stop. And after finished, he refused again. So Moses said, don't lie again. Don't trick us again. Verse 30 says, and Moses went out and asked the Lord. At verse 31, and the Lord did according to the words of Moses, and he removed the swarms, flies from Pharaoh, from his servants, and from his people, and there stayed not one. Okay? So, again, Moses asked God to remove, and he did. Verse 32, and Pharaoh hardened his heart this time also, and neither would he let the people go. Okay, so again, the Pharaoh lied and tricked Moses. Okay, he refused to let the people go. Hard-headed Pharaoh. Yeah, hard head. I mean, well, yeah, stubborn, right? Pride. It's interesting. I mean, if we saw those things happening, if I lived in the land of Egypt, if I was an Egyptian person, I'd be begging the Pharaoh, hey, let them go. You're just messing up our lives here. You know, please let them go. But remember, the Jewish slaves, they built great cities. They built maybe the pyramids, I don't know. But they were forced to make bricks to build things, right? So if the Pharaoh let them go, who's going to build? Right? So that's why the Pharaoh refused to let the slaves go free. Okay? Because he needed the slaves to build for him, for himself. Okay? Alright, so next week we'll continue. And we'll read and we'll learn more about the story. Okay? Thank you.